Hello, family. This is Dr. Frank. I am back. Thanks to the Lord for bringing me here today. Don't take it for granted. Not everybody woke up this morning. So I'm very excited to talk about why you fast. A lot of people don't understand why they have to fast. A lot of people say, I pray a lot, I pray every day. I don't have to fast, I pray. Well, let me illustrate a point here because you do need to fast because you need spiritual discipline. Since we're talking about discipline, let's take an example in the sport world. Let's talk about professional athletes, specifically basketball athletes. Some of you have heard about Michael Jordan. Others have heard about Charles Barkley. They're two popular figures. They played in the same era. They were pretty successful, and Michael Jordan was dominating. But the illustration I want to make here is that both trained. They did very well on the basketball court. They were MVPs. They knew how to shoot the basketball. They knew how to score, how to dribble. They knew everything about basketball. There's one thing that each of them needed outside of the basketball court. They needed to train. They needed to lift. They needed to be endurant, to have the capacity, the energy, the physical athleticism to compete on the court. Fasting for you is pretty much the equivalent of that physical training outside of the basketball court. Fasting for you is where you building discipline, spiritual discipline, the ability to say no to things. That's what fasting is about. Because when you fast, you want to be able to say no to food. And if you're going to get to a point where you say no to food. Food is one of the pleasurable activities that happen in your life. It's what we call activities of the flesh. When you fast, you subdue your flesh. Flesh can be anything. Flesh can be watching movies. You enjoy playing video games. You enjoy eating. You enjoy being intimate with your significant others. All of those activities are activities of the flesh. And when you don't know how to say no to any of those activities, when are you going to find time to pray? When are you going to find time to come closer to God, to have an intimacy with God? You're always busy with the things of the flesh. And Satan makes sure that you continue to be busy with those things of the flesh. So fasting does not get you closer to God. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 8. The Lord directed me to that scriptures and said, son, you are going to have to talk about this issue of fasting because people think that when they fast, they get closer to me. No, they don't. You look at that scripture and you see how God specific. In fact, it was Apostle Paul talking about a situation where he was telling the people that food does not get you closer to God. In fact, it does not make you worse for anything or better for anything. So food is not that important. Whether you fast or not, it's not that important. If you think you're fasting to get close to God, it's not that important. You have to know why you fast. Fast is important because it trains you, not it doesn't take you closer to God necessarily, but it trains you to be disciplined because you're going to need that discipline to fight the good war. Go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. There, Apostle Paul is speaking to Timothy, one of his sons, spiritual sons, and he says, we are soldiers of the army of God. And when you are a soldier of the army of God, you have no business being in civilian affairs. So spiritually, we as Christians, born again Christian, we are soldiers of the army of God. We have no business watching movies all the time, doing this, doing that all the time. We have to get serious about the things of God. We need discipline. We need to be able to say no to things that are going to distract us. That's why you fast once a week at least. You might want to even fast more, especially if you know that Satan is after you and has attacked your flesh in a way that will distract you from the things of God. So you need. Can you imagine Michael Jordan preparing for that championship and being at a club the day before the game? He will not win that game. You need discipline. Michael Jordan needed discipline to win. He needed to have learned how to endure, how to suffer in the gym, make those muscles suffer, make his mind suffer, so that he's ready on the day of the game. He can perform his art and beat Charles Barkley. In the spiritual world, you are looking at serious challenges. You are facing marital issues. You are facing financial issues. You are facing issues of jealousy at work. You are facing issues of ancestral attack, ancestral spirits destroying your destiny. You are facing things that take you away from God. You need serious discipline. You can't afford not to wake up every day and pray early in the morning. How do you learn to wake up early in the morning to pray? How do you learn to be resilient in what you do, to have that, to pray when you don't want to pray? How do you learn to read the Bible at a time when there's a football game going on? How do you go to church when there's your favorite football team that is playing and you want to watch it? How do you choose church over that favorite game? That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the choice for things of the Lord that you learn through internal spiritual difficulties. Because fasting is not easy. Everybody knows that. It's not easy to go through a day without eating. That's why when you're able to do that, you're able to do the other things. That's why you fast. You don't fast because you want to be closer to God. Yeah, ultimately that's the goal, but that's not what brings you closer to God. I hope people understand the why you fast. If you look at some of the football players, basketball players who want to lose weight in the summer, let's take the example of Luka Doncic. This summer he fasted, he lost about 25 pounds. That was not a spiritual fast. That's not what I've been talking about all along. He fasted to lose weight medically, so he decided not to eat for days. He was doing intermittent fasting. Every one of us can do that. If you have a wedding scheduled in 3 months, you can say, okay, I gotta lose 20 pounds. Let me stop eating and all of that, and I will just eat vegetables, and I will do that for people do that all the time. But that is not what Weight Loss is Spiritual, my book, talks about. I hope everyone understands that it's not because I'm a doctor that people are going to think that everything I write is about medicine. Yes, I do write about medicine. But the message in my book is that weight loss is spiritual because you are using principles of fasting that are not about weight loss, but you are using principles of fasting that are about your discipline. Because I am training people to be disciplined. Because when you are disciplined, even when you don't fast, you know that you can walk in a room and people are offering you ice cream and you say no because you have learned to say no. So my book is about spiritual discipline. My book is about long-term things because spiritual things are things that are for eternity. When you do what Luka Doncic did, you are more likely to regain that weight if you don't continue to do that. But who can fast every day like that and sustain it for months and years and years? That's why even when Charles Barkley goes on a diet with Monjero, he is able to lose weight. But how long that lasts is about as long as he's on that medication. I'm not talking about temporary or transitional things here. I'm talking about spiritual things that get you to lose weight for a very, very long period of time, not because you're focusing on weight loss. You are actually focusing on God. You are actually not even thinking about losing weight. If you look at me, I'm not fat, but I don't care about being fat or anything like that. I'm looking at God. I'm applying the principle of Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Seek the kingdom of God first and his righteousness, and everything else shall be added unto you. So it means that if you focus on the right thing, spiritual discipline, not eating this, not eating that, because you want to serve God, ultimately you're not going to gain weight. In fact, you're going to lose weight because you're just not eating the wrong thing. So it's a secondary effect that you're gaining. But the bottom line is the why you do things, and you got to grasp it. You got to understand why you're fasting. And that's why fasting is a weekly thing. It's not a daily thing. I mean, it could be, it depends. So, depend if you are possessed by demons and they are subduing your flesh and you want God to come and help you subdue that flesh back so that demons don't take authority over you. Yeah, when you're on deliverance ground and you're trying to get delivered from demonic spirit, of course you can fast for 3 days. It's all right. It's okay. You can do prolonged fast as long as you don't endanger your health. You can do water fast for 1 week, etc., even 2 weeks. It depends on the battle. But you're not doing it because you're getting closer to God. You are actually after your flesh because that's what Satan does. He's trying to make you sin so you don't succeed spiritually. Go ahead and read my book again. It's available on Amazon. Weight Loss is Spiritual. Also, make sure you watch other programs that I have on fasting. I detail fasting. I take my time to talk about fasting so that everyone understands. Remember, there are battles you cannot win without fasting. Mark chapter 9, verse 29. Jesus tells his disciples, certain demons cannot go away unless you fast. So why you fast is to subdue your flesh, is to have that spiritual discipline. I will be back to tell you next week why you should pick the right church. I will tell you next week why the fasting church is the church you want to pick, because I will tie it up to the fasting program and to the habit, the grind, the habit of spiritual discipline. If you like this message, click on the like button, share those YouTube's video everywhere. Don't just keep things to yourself. Don't just keep the good stuff for yourself. Share it with your friends and family. See you next time. Bye.